All right, team, welcome back to another episode on the Weight Loss for Women 40 Plus podcast with Josh. So, today we're going to be talking about macros. So, of all the ladies that we work with, a lot of people get kind of confused around, terminology that gets thrown out a lot. Macros, calories, calorie deficits. A lot of people are getting stuck. Like they hear the terminology, but I find when our clients, the ladies I talk to, when they become clients, they start working with coaches, a lot of these terminologies are quite confusing. And they've got a bit of a basic knowledge of what they are, but because they don't have a really good understanding of what they are, how they relate between calories and macros, it can get a little bit confusing. And then, people then have tried calorie counting on their own, haven't had success. They've tried, macro meal plans, and again, haven't had that much success because they don't really understand how it works. So I just want to break it down today, just break it down nice and simple, so you can have some clarity around the topic, and this might just help you out with the nutrition side of things. So all macros are, we've heard the term macros thrown around. Macros are just what we call macronutrients, the proteins, the carbs, and the fats. So every food that we eat has macros or a macro profile. Now, if I have 100, let's say I've got a bit of chicken. Chicken is what we call a protein source. Chicken isn't 100% protein. Like chicken's got maybe 100 grams of chicken might have 25 grams of protein in it. And it's got 75 grams of carbs and fats. So 100 grams of chicken isn't 100 grams of protein. A lot of people get that wrong. And that's okay. I got it fucking wrong until someone pointed it out to me. So macros and calories are exactly the same thing. So like we just went through there, if you have 100 grams of chicken, a percentage of it is calories, a percentage of it is fat, and a percentage of it is carbs. That's how everything works. So 25% will be protein, and then 75% carbs and fats. I don't have the exact split off the top of my head, so bear with me. But then that 100 grams of chicken might be roughly 300 calories. So it's the proteins plus the carbs plus the fats equals the calories. So calories comes from protein, comes from carbs, comes from fats. So pretty much calories and macros are one and the same. So if you're going to do a 1400 calorie, meal plan, then there's going to be a certain amount of carbs, a certain amount of fats, and a certain amount of carbohydrates in that meal plan. Or if you do it vice versa, if you're going to do a macro meal plan, you're going to have a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of carbs, a certain amount of fats, which is going to equal a certain amount of calories. It's literally one and the same thing. So if you've got to eat 1400 calories per day, then we want to make sure that you're having at least a third of it as protein. So you want 500 calories of the total day. Let's say 1500 calories, sorry. 1500 calorie meal plan, 500 calories to be protein, 1000 calories to be carbs and fats. And people kind of get stuck on this. They're like, well, do you have to, because people think that you have to eat like healthy, in inverted commas, if you can't see me, healthy carbohydrates. So things like, which is just a fucking nonsense term anyway, but let's roll with it. Things like brown rice, brown pasta, not eating white sugar, stuff like that. They're just like, oh, you got to eat healthy carbs. But at the end of the day, it actually isn't going to matter. Your body is reliant on a certain amount of calories per day. Now, it doesn't matter if those calories come from fucking orange juice or they come from brown pasta. Like orange juice is just a high amount of carbohydrates. Brown pasta or brown rice is again a high amount of carbohydrates. Your body isn't really that concerned where the calories come from. If you want to lose weight, lose the body fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. Meaning if you go for a walk, do some exercise, you go about your day, and by the end of the day, you've burnt 2000 calories, and then you ate 1500 calories, that's a minus 500 calorie deficit. You will lose body fat. If you lose 550 in a minus 550 calorie deficit per day for 7 days a week, you lose half a kilogram. If you're in 1100 calorie deficit per day for 7 days, you lose 1 kilogram of body fat. That's just how it works. Like we have worked with close to 2,000 women. let's actually let that number sink in. Like people glaze over it. Imagine 2,000 women between the ages of 40 and 65 lined up in a row. That is a massive, massive amount of people. That's how many ladies we have worked with as clients. So this isn't just shit that I'm talking off the top of my head. This is not what I think works. This is what actually works after doing it with a couple of thousand people. So when I'm telling you these things, I'm not just saying what the science says. I'm telling you, yes, what the science says and the application of the science on our own clients to produce the result that you probably want for yourself. So whether you believe me or not, the result is the result. These are straight facts. Like this is what we do every single day. Like we have over 330 women on this program currently with my coaches. So this is stuff we're putting into application multiple times a day, not just like a little bit, like multiple times a day across a team of half a dozen coaches. So this is, and it works successfully. Like it's just how it is. Like we'll have ladies come to us and we'll have anywhere from like 10 to 15 new ladies join the program every single week, and they're struggling to understand the calories, the macros, the calorie deficit, how to get it right for them and their family situation, the hours that they work. And the coach will go, all right, let's put in our process, which we know works. We put it into their lifestyle. We make some adjustments just so it fits, their day-to-day schedule. And lo and behold, they're now fucking dropping weight. Half a kilogram, a kilogram and a half per week. Like these ladies are just absolutely smoking it. And it's not because they were royally, fucking up beforehand and they weren't intelligent women. Very intelligent women, just they didn't know the right process for women over 40. And that's what we do. It's understanding that yes, every woman is different, but there's a lot of similarities between ladies going through perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. There's a lot of similarities in that demographic. Whereas men and women are completely different. A 45-year-old woman, again, is very different to a 19-year-old woman. Like it's just different. Once you've had kids, once you've had different changes to your hormones, there needs to be a certain playbook that is applied to your fat loss plan. You can't be 55 years old running a 25-year-old fucking playbook. You're like, oh, well, this worked for me when I was 25. I'm like, yeah, but don't you feel like your body is very different now to fucking 30 years ago? Oh, yeah, I never really thought about it. And that's okay. If you haven't thought about it, that's why we do what we do. But you just cannot be doing the same shit. It's like going to uni and trying to do what you did in fucking year 7, like university like what? Literature, English, and then you're trying to do what you did in year 7 for English. Like, you'd just be like, that's not going to work. It's a completely different ball game. Yes, school is school. One's just a higher form of education, but it's completely different in the same sense. Same thing with the human body. You're like, well, I'm still a female. I'm like, yeah, of course you are. You're still a female, but you're 30 years older. Your body has changed. You can't be doing what the fucking 25-year-old version of you was doing back then and having success. No different to, you can't do what you did at uni as what you did in year 7, because it's a completely different game. So understanding macros, the calories, the proteins, the fats, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, you've got to be, the one thing that I would recommend, like give you an actual takeaway from today, the one thing I'd recommend is getting the protein side of things right. So remember, 100 grams of protein is not 100 grams of chicken. Chicken is a protein source. It's not a complete form of protein. Even protein powder. Like if you have 30 grams of protein powder, like your 30-gram scoop, that's not going to be 30 grams of pure protein. It might be 90 to 95% protein. It's a very highly concentrated source of protein, but again, it's not pure protein. So this is where people get stuck. They don't know these little intricacies. So they end up like not eating enough protein in the day, not because they want to self-sabotage, but because they just do it by mistake. So the most important macro, in my opinion, is going to be the protein, getting the protein right. Carbs aren't bad, fats aren't bad. You need a stable amount of protein per day. So for most women over 40, it's going to be like between 100 and 140 grams of protein per day. Remember, that's not 140 grams of chicken. There's only 25% protein. So 25, so it's 4 times 120 or 140 is like the rough amount you would need per day if you were just going to eat chicken for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So the most important thing is protein. Protein needs to stay the same every day if you're trying to lose body fat. You don't go high protein days, low protein days. That's not how it works. Protein is going to be the thing that is going to help build your metabolism. It's going to help regulate your hunger. It's going to help reduce your sweet tooth cravings, muscle recovery, muscle building. Protein is like the foundation. So you can't have high and low protein days, but you can have high and low carb and fat days. So for our ladies, we want to make sure 30% of their calories comes from protein at least, and then 70% from carbs and fats. It doesn't matter if your carbs are up one day, they go over the amount and your fats are low, and then the next day your fats are high and your carbs are low. It doesn't matter. Carbs and fats can bounce around as long as you're sticking to your calorie count and your protein target. If you get those two things right, you're going to have way more success. People freak out when they go over their carbs. I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. It just doesn't matter if you go over your carbs, but you're still within your calorie count. That means if your carbs are high, your fats are going to be a little bit lower on that day. Totally fine. But people, tend to make dumb, healthy decisions like, eating nuts. I really don't recommend that you eat nuts if you are trying to lose body fat. The reason why is because nuts are very high calorie because they're high fat. It's not that is bad. It's that you just chew out too many of your calories too quickly and sometimes don't leave enough room for protein. Oh man, got the hiccups. So that's what I'd be doing. I'd have a calorie target and I'd have a protein target. Get those two things right. Your sweet, carbs, and fats can change day to day. They don't need to be the same for fat loss. You can switch them around. It's not going to have really any effect. The only effect is, like I said, things like nuts and avocado, oils, cheeses, things like that. They're high in fat and they're gonna chew up a lot of your calories really quickly. So people make the mistake of putting them in because they're healthy, but then end up eating too many calories across the day and not losing weight because they're not in a good calorie deficit. So easy done. So if you're confused by this, then maybe you just need a coach. Maybe it's time to reach out. Maybe you want a coach to do this for you. So you're like, cool, you've got an understanding of how to get it right for you. And this is how our ladies go from struggling for 3 to 6, 9, 12 months of no weight loss. They join us, they lose weight in the first week. It's because the coach gets it right for them. If you're looking for that kind of help, very easy, jump on Instagram, Josh Humphries. Send me a message, go, hey, been listening to the podcast, would like to learn more about the VIP transformation program. If you see the ads, click on the ads, hit learn more. They're always floating around. Very easy. All right, team, lots of love. Share it with a friend if they feel like they would benefit from this. And yeah, get some wins on the board and I'll catch you in the next one.